You're probably wondering why I called you out to my room. Well, the fact you're still alive is pretty amazing. Mortals like yourself almost never seem to last this long for me. And, well, I figured that I might as well reward you for surviving. And for, of course, providing me with your precious blood. So, instead of having you spend the night all alone in your room, I thought that it would be nice to get a change of scenery. But don't think that I'll make this a habit. At the end of the day, you know why I keep you around. I'm not here to make friends with you. Now then, come on, get over here. Come sit in bed with me. There you go. Alright, I'm not going to make us sit here in silence. That's only going to make things awkward. So, why don't I tell you more about me? I guess you mortals would call this something like a backstory of sorts. Yes, a backstory. Allow me to tell you my backstory. Honestly, it's been a while since I last told someone this. Most mortals don't seem to make that long. So, consider yourself lucky. Well then, what if I told you that I wasn't always like this? As in, I was not always a vampire. What if I told you that I was a regular person, like yourself? Would you believe me? I can tell that surprised you. The look on your face says it all. Yeah, that's right. I used to be a regular individual, just like you. But that was a very long time ago. Way before your time. I was a normal girl from a small village. Boring as can be. Life was simple and mundane, consisting of the same routines over and over. Although, I guess the me of the past would have considered those days peaceful. You know, as a kid, I would go and play with my friends, typical games like hide and go seek. And I'd help my family around the house, with chores and such. I remember the days of going out to the market area to get supplies. We weren't a wealthy family, but we also weren't dirt poor either. Like anyone, as I grew older, I started to have dreams of my own, wanting to someday settle down and live a comfortable life, ideally with someone by my side, until I lived out the rest of my days. But unfortunately for me, fate had other plans. When was it? I believe I was a young adult at the time. It was fall. The leaves were changing colors and falling off the tree branches. It was usually cloudy, with an occasional cold wind that would come by. I had decided that day to take a nice stroll into the forested area. This wasn't an uncommon thing for me. After all, I always loved nature. So, this stroll was like no other. I had told my parents about it, as I always did. The walk was peaceful. Nature truly is beautiful when you take the time to take it all in. As I walked deeper and deeper into the woods, something fell off. With each step I took, it felt like it was being watched. Naturally, like any normal person, I decided to turn back. Walking eventually turned into me running when I got to see a glimpse of an individual I had never seen before. I could feel that this person was enjoying the chase. They were the hunter, and I was their prey. Unfortunately, in my panic, I ended up stumbling, and next thing I knew, I had fallen onto the ground like an idiot. My pursuer then came closer. They were a tall, slender man with snow-white hair and red, glowing eyes. I think you can guess where this is going. Yeah, this man was indeed a vampire. And just like what I did with you, this vampire abducted me, and I was to be a source of blood for them, just like you are for me. So, I did the only thing I could. I tried to make the best of my situation. I mean, think about it. I was a weak, frail girl trapped with a powerful vampire. Honestly, I thought I was going to die. So, as crazy as it may sound, I tried to be befriending the guy. Little did I know, that decision is ultimately what saved my life, if you want to call it that. You see, this vampire had been around for a while, and surprisingly enough, had been longing for some companionship. And eventually, he did become quite fond of me. But there was only one issue. I was quickly growing weak. He was not good at holding back his hunger for blood, and often took way more than he should have. So, he had a decision to make. And to my surprise, he decided to keep me around. By turning me into a vampire, he knew one way or another my life was limited. I was going to die at some point, and he couldn't bear it. Thus he thought, if we both were vampires, we could be together forever, and search for blood together. So, as you can see here, things didn't go exactly the way he wanted. I'm getting there. It had been a few years since I was abducted, and all of a sudden I found myself completely changed. My skin was much paler, my hair turned gray, I stopped aging, I grew fangs, but more importantly, I started to have an insane, unbearable craving for blood. But with that came a bigger problem. How were we going to feed the both of us? Because at this point, one individual wasn't really going to cut it. So, I proposed an idea. I asked the guy if I could go back to my village under the guise of finally being able to escape, only to trick people of my village to bring back as food. I, at the time, had no intention of following through with my promise. I simply wanted to go home. I wanted to see my loving family again. Surely they would take me back. Surely they would understand that none of this was my fault. Oh, how wrong was I? When the time finally came and I got to reunite with my parents, I explained everything that happened. I was honest, as I had always been. However, they didn't trust me anymore. vampires don't have the best reputation out there. They are simply seen as monsters, and anyone dumb enough to trust them usually ends up dead. I couldn't exactly blame them, but I was disappointed. I did everything they wanted growing up, and the one time I needed help, I was rejected. Apathetic. What did I do next, you ask? Well, I decided to become the monster these people saw me to be. I mean, if everyone's going to have this image of me, I might as well play the part, right? What's the point in trying to sway them to believe me if they're too stubborn to change? So, I waited patiently for an opportunity to bring people back with me. It didn't take very long. I mean, I practically knew this village inside and out. A few years of being away didn't change much. Those people were pretty set in their ways after all. Now, the only thing I really had to worry about was the other vampire. I didn't want to be stuck with him for all eternity, doing all that grunt work for him. But at the same time, I also knew that there was no way for me to win the fight, at least not in that present moment. So, like I did before, I made the most of my situation and continued to earn his trust. I had him teach me everything about being a vampire and learning how best to use my powers. Also, someday I could take him down and truly be free. And let me just tell you, the day I took him out was probably one of the best days of my life. Because that day, I was truly granted my freedom. The freedom to choose how to live my life. The freedom to not work for anyone but myself. That's pretty much it. After that, I started to travel the world, learning new things, and of course, indulging in my never-ending cravings. My travels eventually led me here, where we are now, surrounded by beautiful nature. My magic has gotten so much better that I'm pretty much undetectable by the common person, making it easier to hunt my prey, as I did with you. And just so you know, don't you dare try to get any funny ideas. I'm not looking for companionship. I won't be repeating the same mistakes as the vampire before me. If anything, I always tend to think a couple steps ahead. So, you can try to sweet talk me, you can try to get closer to me, but I will catch on. I do not intend to be betrayed, especially not by the likes of you. Furthermore, I don't intend to turn you into a vampire, so one way or another, you are going to perish someday. Perhaps that's a blessing. Mortals often think that immortality is an amazing thing, but it isn't. I am saving you from a fate worse than death. Take that as you will. I've talked long enough that I've made myself a little hungry. Let me see your neck real quick. Good. Now, allow me to indulge a little bit. You don't mind if I'm a little